Have you ever felt that your kindness was being used against you? That no matter how much you give, people still take more. That being the good one in every situation has quietly turned into your biggest weakness. You smile when you're hurting. You forgive when you should walk away. You help others even when your own soul is exhausted. And the world calls it goodness. But deep inside, you know something's wrong. Because the more kind you become, the more invisible you start to feel. This is not a story about stopping kindness. It's about reclaiming your strength. The kind that Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus spoke about. The kind that comes from inner balance. Today, you'll learn why being too kind can silently destroy your peace. And how Stoicism can help you love deeply without losing yourself. There's a quiet tragedy in being too kind. Not because kindness is wrong, but because the world often confuses kindness with weakness. You open your heart to help others. You forgive when you should have learned. You say yes when your soul whispers no. And with every act of blind generosity, a piece of your strength quietly fades. Being kind is a virtue, but being too kind, that's a slow erosion of the self. In this video, we'll explore one of the hardest lessons the Stoics ever taught. That goodness without wisdom is self-destruction. The Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, didn't preach about being nice to everyone. They spoke about justice, courage, temperance, and self-control. They taught that compassion must be guided by reason. And that true love for others begins with respect for yourself. Because when your kindness turns into submission, you lose the very thing Stoicism seeks to protect. Your inner peace. Have you ever wondered why people who give the most often end up feeling the emptiest? Why those who constantly help others sometimes carry invisible wounds? The Stoics would say, it's because they've forgotten the boundary between helping others and harming themselves. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, be tolerant with others and strict with yourself. This is not a call for coldness. It's a reminder. Kindness without discipline is chaos. Love without boundaries is slavery. And peace without strength is illusion. In a world that tells us to always give, to always say yes, to always understand, the Stoic path teaches something radical. That sometimes, the most loving act is to say no, to walk away, to guard your soul, to choose peace over people who disturb your balance. Because your peace is sacred. Your energy is limited. And every act of blind kindness, given to those who abuse it, takes you one step further from your purpose. Seneca once said, no man can be good to others who is not good to himself. How can you truly help anyone if you're constantly drained, disrespected, or ignored? How can you offer wisdom if you have no time to sit in silence and rebuild your strength? The Stoics believed that life is a balance between action and reflection, between love for humanity and discipline of the self. When one side dominates, the harmony collapses. So today, we'll uncover what it truly means to be kind without being destroyed by your kindness. We'll walk through ancient Stoic wisdom, connect it to modern relationships, and end with a challenge. A Stoic practice that will help you reclaim your power without losing your compassion. Maybe right now, you're the person who always forgives too easily, who gives love and effort to those who never return it, who fears that saying no makes you selfish or unkind. But Stoicism reminds you, you are not here to please everyone. You are here to master yourself. True kindness is not about weakness. It's about strength under control. About love guided by reason. About compassion that never betrays your peace. This is not the end of your kindness. It's the rebirth of your power. In the part 1, we'll dive into the philosophical reflection. How Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus understood the danger of being too kind, and how emotional boundaries are a mark of true wisdom. Take a deep breath and prepare to see kindness through the eyes of Stoic strength. Part 1, to understand why being too kind can destroy you. We must first understand what the Stoics meant by virtue. For Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, virtue wasn't about being agreeable or pleasant. It was about living in harmony with reason. Acting not out of emotion, but out of wisdom. Kindness, to the Stoics, was not about pleasing others. It was about living justly, doing what is right. Not what makes everyone happy. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." A good man, in the Stoic sense, isn't one who bends to every request or forgives without thought. He is one who stands firm in his principles. Who gives when giving is just, and refuses when refusing preserves virtue. The Stoic does not allow his emotions to rule his actions. He gives not from guilt, but from strength. He helps not because he seeks approval, but because it aligns with his values. Seneca, in his letters, warned against emotional generosity. That lacks discernment. He observed how people often help others out of fear. Fear of being disliked, rejected, or alone. And he reminded us that virtue is never born from fear. He wrote, "He who does good with hesitation is unwillingly good." When your kindness is rooted in guilt, obligation, or fear of conflict, it is no longer virtue. It becomes a chain. The Stoic knows that true goodness requires clarity. If helping another person destroys your peace, then that action is no longer good, because it violates the harmony within your own soul. Epictetus went even further. He taught that we are responsible only for what lies within our control. Our thoughts, our choices, our inner state. Everything else, including how others see us or treat us, is beyond our power. So when we are too kind, we often try to control what we cannot. We try to make everyone happy. We try to fix what isn't ours to fix. But Epictetus would gently remind us, there is only one way to happiness, to cease worrying about things which are beyond our power. Kindness, then, must operate within the boundaries of control. You can offer help, but you cannot save everyone. You can love deeply, but you cannot prevent others from leaving. You can give, but you cannot demand gratitude in return. When your kindness depends on results, it ceases to be kindness, it becomes attachment. The Stoics viewed emotions not as enemies, but as forces to be mastered. They knew that compassion and love are powerful, but without discipline, they consume us. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That strength, inner strength, is what keeps kindness pure. Because kindness without strength becomes dependency. And dependency is the seed of suffering. Let's imagine two people. One gives endlessly, hoping to be loved in return. The other gives with balance, knowing when to help and when to walk away. The first is kind but lost. The second is kind and wise. The first acts out of emotion. The second acts out of virtue. And that difference, the difference between emotion and virtue, is the essence of Stoic kindness. Seneca wrote, "If you wish to be loved, love yourself." He didn't mean it selfishly. He meant that love must begin with strength. That if you destroy yourself in the service of others, you serve no one. Even Marcus Aurelius, the emperor who carried the burden of an empire, wrote nightly reminders to himself. Not to let compassion turn into weakness. He reminded himself to serve others, but to never sacrifice justice for approval. He wrote, "A man should stand erect, not be kept erect by others." That single line captures the entire Stoic understanding of kindness. You can support others, but your foundation must be your own. To the Stoics, every relationship, friendship, love, or service is an opportunity to practice virtue. Not emotional excess, not dependency, but balance. Seneca advised that we must love others as if we could lose them at any time. Not to be cold, but to remain free. Because freedom, in the Stoic sense, is not the absence of care. It's the presence of clarity. When you act with clarity, you no longer confuse kindness with weakness, nor love with sacrifice. You begin to understand that balance is the highest form of love. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus. Three voices from different times, but united by one truth. That to live well, you must love wisely, act justly, and protect your peace as you would protect your own life. The Stoics were not against kindness. They were against self-betrayal. They knew that a kind heart without reason is easily manipulated by a cruel world. But a kind heart guided by wisdom becomes unbreakable. So as we continue this journey, remember, Stoicism does not ask you to harden. It asks you to awaken. To understand that every yes must be measured. Every forgiveness must be earned. And every act of love must include love for yourself. In the part 2, we'll bring this philosophy into the modern world. We'll explore how excessive kindness affects our relationships, our careers, and our emotional health. And how Stoic principles can help us create balance, even in a society that rewards self-sacrifice over self-respect. Stay calm. Stay present. And prepare to discover how Stoicism translates into real life, where kindness meets discipline, and peace becomes your greatest strength. Part 2, it's easy to think that Stoicism belongs only to the past, to emperors, philosophers, and soldiers. But the truth is, Stoicism is more relevant now than ever. Because the world we live in today, a world of constant connection, noise, and expectations, is designed to test your peace. Every message, every demand, every emotional plea asks for a piece of you. And if you don't guard your boundaries, you give yourself away, little by little, until nothing remains. Being too kind in the modern world is like walking barefoot through fire. You'll get burned, not because the world is evil, but because it doesn't slow down for those who hesitate. At work, kindness can make you the one who always says yes. The one who takes on extra tasks. Who stays late while others leave. Who sacrifices rest for recognition that never comes. In relationships, kindness can make you the one who gives love without receiving respect. Who forgives betrayal out of fear of being alone. Who stays in situations that destroy your peace. All in the name of loyalty. And in friendships, kindness can turn into silent suffering. Listening to everyone's pain while no one listens to yours. But Stoicism teaches us something powerful. You are not obligated to set yourself on fire, to keep others warm. Marcus Aurelius didn't live in a peaceful world either. He ruled during war, plague, and betrayal. Yet he reminded himself every morning to protect his inner fortress. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That power still exists within you today. It is the ability to say no without guilt. To walk away without anger. To love without losing yourself. Think about your daily life. Every time someone crosses your boundaries, You feel a small storm inside. A mix of frustration and sadness. You tell yourself, it's okay, I'll forgive again. But forgiveness without reflection becomes a habit of avoidance. You start avoiding conflict. Even when conflict is the only way to grow. You begin to fear rejection more than you value self-respect. And that is how kindness turns into weakness. Not because you care too much, but because you forget to care for yourself. Epictetus warned about this centuries ago. He said, when someone is properly grounded in life, they shouldn't have to look outside themselves for approval. Yet today, so much of our kindness is performed for approval. We post it online. We wear it like a badge. We seek validation for being the good one. But Stoicism reminds us. Goodness needs no audience. It is silent, steady, and guided by reason. You do not have to prove your heart to anyone. You only have to protect it. Let's bring this closer to your personal life. If you are in a relationship where you constantly give your time, your love, your forgiveness, and receive only disappointment, that is not love. That is attachment rooted in fear. Seneca would say, he who fears to lose has already lost. True love, in Stoic philosophy, is not about possession. It is about respect, both ways. It's about two souls walking side by side. Not one walking behind the other. And if love becomes suffering, the Stoic path tells you to step back. Not with anger, but with clarity. The same applies to friendships and family. You can forgive, but forgiveness doesn't mean access. You can care, but caring doesn't mean compliance. You can be kind, but kindness doesn't mean self-erasure. Stoicism invites you to act from virtue, not emotion. It tells you to help others because it is right. Not because you're afraid of being seen as cold. You can still be compassionate. But do so with strength. Not with submission. There's a modern illusion that kindness must always be soft. But Stoicism shows us that true kindness can also be firm. When you set a boundary, you are not being unkind. You are being just. Because justice includes protecting what is right. And your peace is rightfully yours. Marcus Aurelius once reflected. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. If your thoughts are filled with resentment, exhaustion, and guilt, because you cannot say no, then your kindness has already turned against you. To reclaim your peace, you must learn the Stoic art of balance. To combine heart and reason. Imagine what your life would feel like if every act of kindness came from strength, not fear. If every yes came from clarity, not pressure. If every relationship you had was rooted in mutual respect and calm understanding. That is Stoic kindness. It is love without chaos. Generosity without self-loss. Forgiveness without submission. It is the way of peace in a world addicted to noise. You see, being kind is easy. Being kind and wise, that's mastery. Stoicism does not ask you to stop loving, but to love better. To help without becoming dependent. To give without losing your inner center. Because when your peace becomes your highest priority, every part of your life begins to change. Your relationships, your confidence. Your emotions, your purpose. You no longer need the world to understand you. You simply act with integrity. And let your calm become your message. In the part 3, we'll enter the heart of this journey. The main lesson. You'll discover the Stoic formula for turning kindness into strength. How to create emotional boundaries with peace. And how to practice disciplined compassion. That brings respect, love, and balance into your life. Take a deep breath. Let go of guilt. And prepare to rise. Not as someone who stops caring, but as someone who finally learns how to care wisely. Part 3, by now, you've understood the truth. Being too kind without wisdom is not a virtue, it's self-neglect. But how do we change that? How do we stay compassionate without being consumed? How do we live like a Stoic, strong, calm, and kind, in a world that thrives on chaos? To answer that, we turn to practice. Because for the Stoics, wisdom wasn't just knowledge. It was action. Lesson 1, guard your mind, guard your peace. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Every thought you entertain shapes your reality. So if your mind is filled with guilt, fear, and resentment, you'll act from those emotions. You'll say yes when you mean no. You'll forgive to avoid discomfort. You'll keep peace externally while destroying it internally." The Stoic practice is mental vigilance. Each morning, before you face the world, ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be today? Not what others expect of you, but who you choose to be. Then guard that vision with discipline. When someone tries to manipulate your kindness, pause, breathe, and remind yourself, I control my actions, not their opinion. That single pause, that moment of clarity, is the first wall of your inner fortress. Lesson 2, the power of the pause. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Too often, people mistake your silence for weakness. But the Stoic pause is not weakness, it's mastery. When someone disrespects you, your first instinct may be to explain, justify, or please. But the Stoic remains still. He observes his own reaction. He asks, is this within my control? If it is, he acts wisely. If not, he lets it go. That pause creates freedom. It allows you to respond, not react. To speak from wisdom, not emotion. To walk away with dignity, not bitterness. The pause is your superpower. It transforms your kindness from a reflex into a conscious choice. Lesson 3, kindness must include yourself. Seneca said, "Treat yourself as you would treat a friend." Many people misunderstand this. They think self-care is selfish. But to the Stoics, caring for yourself is a moral duty. If you neglect your body, your mind, or your spirit, in the name of others, you betray the very nature of virtue. Because how can you serve others with wisdom if you are constantly tired, bitter, or emotionally empty? Each day, make time for silence. To reflect, breathe, and realign with your principles. This is not withdrawal, it's maintenance. Just as a warrior sharpens his sword, you sharpen your soul with solitude. True Stoic kindness begins when you learn to speak gently to yourself. Lesson 4, boundaries are acts of love. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike your enemy." Setting boundaries doesn't mean revenge or punishment. It means refusing to let others turn you into what you are not. Boundaries are not walls, they are gates. They decide what energy enters and what leaves. When someone crosses your limits, you don't need anger. You need clarity. You can say, I respect you, but this does not align with my peace. That is Stoic firmness. No shouting. No resentment. Just truth. You owe no one endless access to your energy. Every no you say protects a higher yes. Your purpose, your discipline, your calm. Seneca would call this rational love. Love guided by reason, not guilt. Lesson 5, the daily Stoic practice, modern adaptation. The Stoics practiced reflection every day. At dawn and at dusk, they examined their actions. Here's how you can adapt that today. Morning reflection. Ask yourself 3 Stoic questions. 1. what challenges might I face today? 2. How will I respond with wisdom instead of emotion? 3. What virtue do I want to embody, patience, courage, or peace? This mental preparation is called premeditatio malorum. The premeditation of challenges. It trains you to expect difficulty, so you remain calm when it arrives. Evening reflection. Before you sleep, write down. What did I do well today? Where did I let emotion control me? How can I act better tomorrow? This practice keeps your spirit balanced. It turns every mistake into a teacher. And over time, it transforms your kindness into a disciplined, luminous force. Lesson 6. Choose respect over approval. Epictetus reminded his students, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. In today's world, people will judge you for being quiet, for setting limits, for not engaging in drama. They will say you've changed, when in truth, you've simply awakened. The Stoic does not seek to be liked. He seeks to be right. Right in his intentions, right in his actions. Approval fades. Respect endures. When your kindness is guided by principle, you may lose some people, but you'll gain peace, strength, and freedom. And that is the essence of Stoic living. To be kind is to give without losing yourself. To love is to care without control. To forgive is to release without returning to pain. The Stoic way transforms these acts into tools of strength, not suffering. Because the goal of Stoicism is not to make you colder. It's to make you clearer. So that your kindness becomes unshakable. Your love becomes conscious. And your peace becomes your permanent home. There comes a moment in every kind person's life when they finally understand that kindness without wisdom is not compassion. It is sacrifice without purpose. You were not born to be a doormat. You were born to be a force of calm, clarity, and truth. Marcus Aurelius wrote, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. And that, perhaps, is the purest form of Stoicism. Not endless philosophy, but action, lived wisdom. The final reflection. You cannot control how others treat you. You cannot control the chaos of the world. But you can always control who you choose to be within it. You can choose peace over reaction, dignity over approval, truth over comfort. And that choice, repeated daily, builds the fortress of the Stoic soul. A fortress not made of stone, but of discipline, self-respect, and purpose. When someone disrespects you, the old you might have stayed silent, hoping they would change. The Stoic you now smiles, because you have changed. You see things clearly now. Kindness must be firm. Love must be wise. And peace must be protected. Look back at your life for a moment. All the times you were hurt for caring too much. All the nights you replayed conversations in your head, wondering if you should have said less, or done more. You thought your gentleness was your weakness. But it was your strength all along. It only needed direction. Because being Stoic doesn't mean closing your heart. It means opening it. But learning who deserves to stand inside. The Stoic transformation. When you finally learn this balance, you become untouchable. The insults, the manipulation, the noise, they no longer break you. They simply pass through you. Like wind through an open window. You remain calm, centered, present. You begin to live from virtue rather than emotion. From reason rather than reaction. And the world starts to see something rare. A person who cannot be controlled. Because they control themselves. That is the Stoic way. That is the path of real strength. A message to the kind souls. If you are someone who feels deeply, who gives without counting, who loves without calculation, never lose that. Just refine it. Let your kindness flow through wisdom. Let your empathy be guided by clarity. And when the world tries to test your calm, smile. Because nothing tests the Stoic more than a heart that refuses to harden. You will still be kind. You will still love. But now, you will do so from strength, not from fear. You will know when to speak, when to walk away, and when silence itself becomes a statement of power. And when someone asks, "What happened to you?" you will simply say, "I stopped pouring my peace into the wrong hands." That is Stoic evolution. That is emotional freedom. The modern Stoics vow. Repeat this with me, silently or aloud. I will be kind, but never at the cost of my peace. I will love deeply, but never lose myself. I will stay calm, even when the world is loud. I will master myself, for that is the only true control. That is your Stoic vow. Your declaration of strength and serenity. From this moment forward, every act of kindness you give will come from a place of inner abundance, not emptiness. You will no longer seek validation. You will radiate confidence. You will walk through the world with stillness in your eyes and discipline in your heart. That is what it means to live as a modern Stoic. And when the noise of life grows heavy again, when people misunderstand your calm for coldness, remember this. You are not here to be understood. You are here to understand yourself. That is the empire you are building. An empire of Stoicism. One thought, one breath, one choice at a time. If this message resonated with you, take a moment. Pause, breathe, and reflect. Ask yourself, how can I practice one act of wise kindness today? Then share this video with someone who has forgotten their strength. Someone who gives too much, feels too deeply, and needs to hear that they are allowed to protect their peace. Because together, we are not just studying Stoicism. We are living it. Be kind, but never at the expense of your peace. Be strong, and your calm will speak louder than words. Subscribe to Empire of Stoicism, where wisdom becomes strength, and calm becomes your power.